We've talked on the YouTube channel about Bioshock and the future of this franchise moving forward, and I wanted to go ahead, guys, and talk about everything that we know so far about Bioshock 4, because obviously this is a title that has been announced. Even though we don't know exactly what the title is going to be, we just know that a new Bioshock is coming at some point in the future. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article that was written by Justin Fernandez of Gaming Scan, publisher 2K Interactive has officially announced that a new Bioshock game is currently in development by Cloud Chamber, a recently founded studio comprised of two teams based in San Francisco, California and Montreal, Canada, respectively. Led by Kelly Gilmore, an industry veteran whose work includes franchises such as Civilization and XCOM, the new studio is described as a group of storytellers eager to push the front lines of interactive entertainment by making unique, entertaining, and thoughtful experiences that engage the world. Rumors that a new Bioshock game was being developed first emerged back in 2015 when 2K stealthily contracted Texas-based developer Certain Affinity to begin work on a project codenamed Parkside. The project would be canceled by the end of 2016 for reasons that are unclear, and then rebooted several times over the next few years. It's been more than a decade since the last entry in the franchise, Bioshock Infinite, released for PS3, Xbox 360, and PC. And so with that, Bioshock 4's release date and its platforms, aside from announcing a new studio, 2K's official press release briefly mentions that the next Bioshock iteration will be in development for the next several years. Considering that both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are releasing holiday of 2020, it's safe to assume Bioshock 4 will be coming to both platforms. Although it's still far too early to predict when the game will be released, our best guess would be the year 2022 at the earliest, more realistically sometime in 2024. I think a lot of it has to do with the scope, though, guys, of Bioshock 4. To me, as far as like when we'll probably hear word about it, I would say we're probably going to hear more about Bioshock 4 in 2021. Now, as far as are we going to get official image? Maybe we will. I would hope so. And then yes, it's probably going to be we're probably a couple of years away. This is a big project, guys, most likely. And depending on the scope of it, I think that it could be something absolutely massive, like this full open world setting and such. Who knows? But I'm super excited about it nonetheless. Given development has been scrapped and restarted multiple times since 2015, some concepts may have carried over and been retained. If this is the case, it would mean a shorter pre-production window for Bioshock 4. Now, as far as the story and setting, this is going to be a lot of speculation, guys, but as fans will have already known, Bioshock takes place in a multiverse with alternate timelines and events that play out differently depending on the actions of the player. This can make gouging the series' chronology quite tricky, especially when you calculate how much time has passed since Infinite was released and how little the average player is likely to remember. Therefore, we expect Bioshock 4 to be somewhat of a soft reboot, and I agree 100% with that. However, I would love to see this tie into Bioshock Infinite because of all the, I just think, guys, at the end of Bioshock Infinite, obviously, there's so many different worlds to experience, so many places to explore within this world, and so I would love to see a tie in one way or another. Now, additionally, it's likely to be set further in the future than previous entries and features an entirely new setting. The latest entry in terms of the series' timeline is Bioshock 2, set during the late 1960s, whereas the earliest game, Bioshock Infinite, takes place during the year 1912. And so, to maintain the series' overall tone, we imagine it won't stray too far from the original trilogy and likely be set sometime during the 1970s or 1980s. This seems like the most obvious direction to take, given that players have already explored every nook and cranny in Rapture multiple times and have seen just about everything the airborne city of Columbia has to offer. Besides, introducing a new setting in a different time will allow Cloud Chamber to incorporate new ideas and provide players with a fresh experience, rather than rehashing concepts from previous entries or revisiting old haunts. And I agree. I definitely want there to be some similarities, though. I do want there to be differences. I want Cloud Chamber to kind of have their own creative freedom here so that they can kind of give what it is that they feel is important to tell their story within the Bioshock universe. Bioshock is one of the most beloved, critically praised, and highest rated franchise of the last console generation. We can't wait to see where its powerful narrative and iconic first-person shooter gameplay head in the future with our new studio team at Cloud Chamber leading the charge. This quote from David Ismailer, president of 2K, confirms that Bioshock 4 will remain a first-person shooter despite whatever changes may take shape regarding its story. By utilizing the advanced hardware capabilities of next-gen consoles, we may see Cloud Chamber introduce new gameplay mechanics and systems to make Bioshock 4 truly stand out from earlier iterations. I have a hard time believing, though, guys, that it's going to take Cloud Chamber at least one game to kind of get their footing here. I mean, think of it like this. You know, when you have Ken Levine, I believe one of the most brilliant minds in all of gaming, when he stepped away from Bioshock for health reasons, for, family reasons and things of that nature, this franchise was in a, significant limbo state. And I think that you look at a series like Halo, right, where Halo had a number of games with Bungie that did it and created the game, and they created like this, this massive following. They created something really special over, with the Halo franchise. Well, when the torch was passed over to 343 Industries and they started doing it, Halo 5 obviously was not what people were hoping for as far as a continuation of the franchise. So it took them at least one game. We'll see with Halo Infinite what that looks like. But what I'm getting at is these developers are going to probably need at least a game to kind of get their footing in the universe and such. And then, moving forward from there, I would say that we could expect there's definitely a level of, perspective and what we should be expecting from these games moving forward. But you got to give them kind of one game to really get their footing, in my opinion. While the series' staples such as role-playing elements, special vigor abilities, and gears, the equivalent of tonics in the first Bioshock are sure to return in some form or another. We don't anticipate Infinite's grappling mechanic to make a comeback, given it felt definite to the game's setting. And then, of course, guys, Bioshock games have always pushed the envelope for first-person shooters while offering a compelling narrative and enough lore to keep players immersed across 3 games and 2 significant expansions. However, the series has a history of being plagued by development hell, likely the source of Bioshock 4's extensive cancellations and delays. The first and third entries took a significant toll on developer Rational Games, causing the studio to momentarily shut down, only to be later reborn as Ghost Story Games. Crunch for Bioshock 2 was so intense that after the game was released, Studio 2K Marin found it challenging to keep up with publisher 2K's expectations and was eventually silently closed down. We're hoping the future has better fate in store for Cloud Chamber and Bioshock 4 manages to delight fans who have been craving a new adventure for quite some time. And I agree, but look, guys, these are all things that we have to take into consideration. These games have had a history of being in a development hell cycle, and I think that Bioshock 4 has already been in a development hell where it's kind of gone through different hands. There's been creative differences probably, and then Cloud Chamber now is, basically given the task of taking on one of these very much so beloved franchises that is one of the most unique franchises in all of gaming. And so I'm hoping, that Bioshock 4 has some things that definitely keep us wanting more, and they are able to really expand upon the universe that was started with the first few games. And so we'll have to wait and see, guys. I mean, Bioshock 4, this is a game that, we know very little about. The main thing that we know is that it's coming, which at the end of the day, if you're a huge Bioshock fan, that should be very reassuring and very exciting, to say the least. I mean, we just don't know exactly when we're going to get our hands on it. So with that, though, guys, let me know what you guys think about Bioshock 4. At this point in time, knowing very little, what do you guys want to see from it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Bioshock 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.